Alright, welcome back to the Hungry Lamb. I left it at a choice there. Sorry, I'm super tired, I have no idea why. Yeah, story relevant choice. One leads to our death and one doesn't. And yeah, I was kind of thinking of either I'll go for the death first, but I'm not out to go for the 100% achievement, so... Apparently I just... The game just doesn't want to give me sounds. Alright. But yeah, I'm not ready for it. Sad. I thought I would get my emotional support Jackson with me in this room, but yeah. The right choice is, of course, to trust Mansory. No questions asked here. And I know they were like, yeah, you know Young knows Tongue for 5 years now. He can totally be trusted, but at the same time, they introduce him as an opportunist who was like, yeah, well, you beat my companions, why not join me so we can team up together, so Tongue cannot be trusted. Let's go. Trust Mansory. Cooking meat. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Mansory, pinned down by Tongue, neck gripped tight. She fought, tears welling, looking up at me. You can make your own choices. Her words echoed in my mind at that moment. Her words revived a phantom in my mind. The figure of the phantom resembled me. He stood with his back to me, wearing a bamboo hat, straw coat, and a long sword. A gust of wind stirred his attire, yet he remained steadfast. The next moment he turned, his gaze sharp but noble. Not a wolf's, but a hero's gaze. Oh my god. I'm so tired of that wolf, sheep, lamb metaphor. I gritted my teeth, burst out, charging at Tongue. But a loud impact reverberated. I knocked Tongue off Mansory. He hit the ground but swiftly rose again. Yeah, well, why don't you drink the wine you brought for us? Tongue rose, eyes brimming with rage and murder. He probably didn't expect I'd knock him off for some lying breath. Sure, I will die. Later in life, though. He roared, brandishing a dagger from his waist. With the gleaming blade in hand, he sprinted at me. I scoffed, staying vigilant, bending slightly, steadying myself, eyes fixed on the approaching dagger. Whoosh. Focused, I dodged Tongue's first strike. No second strike. I gripped his elbow. Swift spin, I was behind him. My right hand seized his dagger hand and my left arm locked around his neck. I used half my strength to restrain him and half to push his own dagger towards his neck. Dude, you know that he's stronger than you? He eyed the blade creeping towards his neck. Why this quivering effect on the... Okay, whatever. My grip against his against the blade. Struggle. He resisted, slightly weaker. I pushed, slightly stronger. The tiny strength gap made the blade inch closer. I edged the dagger closer, inch by inch towards his neck. He looked, wide-eyed, at me. I held his gaze. Sweat dripped from his brow, muscles straining as he fought to break free from my hold. Like a python, I tightened my grip, preventing his escape. Plunge. Finally, I guided his hand, driving his own dagger into his neck. The blade pierced skin, then throat. Blood flowed down the blade. His eyes widened, flicking between the blade and me. Anger and disbelief flashed in his gaze, questioning my resolve. But beneath, a plea for mercy, a fear of death subtly begged from his eyes. Years of bloody experience taught me not to spare any enemy who once fought me. Plus, I knew him too well. If I let him live now, he might not hesitate to kill me later. These thoughts drove me to push the blade deeper into his neck. I clenched my teeth, a grunt muffled in my nose, pushing with all my might, driving the dagger deeper until half its blade disappeared into his neck. His muscles tensed, trembling, he turned to glare. His eyes flooded with anger, defiance, sorrow, fear, and plea. Tears flowed. His whole body strained for air. I held him firm, one hand tight, the other letting blood flow. I twisted the dagger in his hand like turning a key halfway, increasing the blood flow. Our gazes stayed locked together throughout. Mine held something much purer. Right. Only icy intent to kill filled my gaze. Drip, drip. Blood dripped to the ground, blooming into crimson flowers. He fought in my hold, weakening, face draining of color. Blood ebbed, legs faltered. Then, with a final breath after a silent struggle, he went limp. Releasing his arm, he collapsed like a marionette with cut strings, hitting the ground with a thud. I stayed silent, gazing down at him amid the blood. On his back, eyes unblinking, skin drained of color. Kneeling, I checked his nostrils. Dead.
良叶，他死了吗？
Yes. Yes, I killed him.
为何良叶那么果断就杀了他？
How else was I supposed to kill him? But decisively. Mansui trembled and shakily asked me, uncomprehending. She wanted my help, but she didn't expect me to kill my companion so decisively for her sake. About 2 years ago, we robbed a caravan but spared the coachman to drive for us. He pretended to comply, but secretly led us astray, aiming to deliver us to the barracks. When the truth came out, he panicked. Tang promised him money to keep him quiet first, but once we reached familiar roads, he not only killed the coachman, but also hunted down his 80-year-old mother, took her life too. He'll always settle the score. Once he's drawn his knife, he'll have a bone to pick with me too. he'd keep that grudge until he got the chance to finish me off. Better to end him today than to wait for him to off me someday. I turned to Mansui, slowly, my gaze fixed on Tang's corpse.
良夜为何相信我？
Just a gut feeling, and it's more about not trusting him than trusting you. I didn't buy Tang's proposal.
什么提议？
Didn't tell you before, but I thought this job was about selling you off as maids or servants, so I took it with a clear conscience. But guess what? Found out yesterday that you're being sent as lamb dishes, and damn, Luoyang City's got a swine demon eyeing you all for dinner. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't go through with it. So I told him I wanted out. At first, he wasn't keen, but after dinner he changed his mind and made a proposal that satisfied me. He suggested we sell you all tomorrow and I quit this job in Sanzhou. Then, once he's in Luoyang, he'd buy a few lambs himself to deliver and he made extra. And if he made extra, he'd give me a cut. Something about that didn't sit right, and him being so agreeable this time was unusual. I calmly filled Mansui in on everything, including Tang's offer. Oddly enough, sharing it with her made me feel lighter.
我觉得良夜想的是对的。
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Mansui. You don't have to agree with me on that one.
仔细想想便知，若是他能直接买洛阳的孩子交差，那为什么要走那么远的路来用我们？
Well, technically he took on a request made by someone else. So he isn't the mastermind behind all this planning, but he definitely knew more than he let on.
吞药必定是因为某个原因，更想要闪帝的孩子，或者说，他为了避嫌，必须要从更远的地方，经过好几手才敢买孩子。
Yeah, definitely that. It's definitely for quote-unquote safety reasons, more so for keeping people in the dark. If you eat like a couple of kids each year from the same city, it'll be pretty obvious what's happening, no? I would at least hope so. Impressive. Just by listening to me, you've sorted out what I couldn't. You've got a sharp mind. Liang, I know you can't hear me, but I told you that. I praised her. Indeed, her explanation helped me understand. Huh. Come to think of it, her sister got snatched by that swine demon too. Can we ask her about that sister that apparently is not a real thing? Finally. Or are you now believing her because you learned about the... Oh, yeah, okay, you're believing her about the sister because you learned about that swine demon. Alright. He lied about marrying her and took her away. How old was his sister? Probably a few years older than her, right?
良夜，你之后打算怎么对我们？
Yeah, no idea. I would love to let you just go. As I thought about Mansui's sister, she suddenly asked me another question. She got me stuck for a moment. This happened too suddenly. At first, I just didn't want them to become lamb dishes. Then I didn't fully believe Tang's proposal, but I hadn't even thought about what to do with them after Tang was gone. When she asked, all I could think of was to go along with Tang's fake proposal from earlier. Tomorrow, I'll ask the waiter, find some Sanzhou human traffickers and sell you off for money.
不行，良夜，万万不可这样！
Yeah. If anything, I would like to find you families you could stay at as servants, but sell you off to a different human trafficker? Great idea, Liang. I know you don't have any brain cells left, but come on. She seemed really upset. Why not? I killed the partner I've worked with for 5 years just to save your lives. Now I have to figure out how to deal with the body and make a run for it. You got me into a mess, but I'm not trying to get you killed. Can't I at least sell you for some money? I shot her a glare. Meanwhile, I couldn't shake the feeling that this lass was pushing her luck after I killed Tang for them. Mansui saw my unhappy face and started to act more friendly.
梁爷，消消气。
Take it easy, alright, I will.
我不是说在闪州卖我们不行，只是梁爷的想法有欠考虑的地方。
That's for sure, but you just don't wanna be apart from me, right? Yeah.
你和那些人牙子混得不熟。
Yeah, I don't think Liang has any connection to anyone. Let's face it, this man really lives by his own mental image of a lone wolf. Even though a lone wolf is bound to die, they are pack animals. They can survive, don't get me wrong, but normally they try to create their own pack if they are thrown out of theirs. So, yeah. A lone wolf is not really a good thing. Okay, you don't have it?
春华也说过，星爷趁我们不在时，好像是去外面联系什么人了。你如果明天去找那些人牙子，他们没见到舌头，很可能会猜到这一切。
Hi Onyx, how you doing? Long time no see. Hope you're ready for some cannibalism and human trafficking. Yeah, they might get suspicious for sure.
那样不仅我们有可能还会被送到豚妖那里去，可能你之后也会被豚妖报复。
That's a bit of a twisted logic, but true eventually, probably. If they know the quest we were on thanks to Tang, then yes. Any other human trafficker would probably take those girls to the swine demon.
梁爷，你现在在暗处，他们在明处，你可不能自己主动从暗处走到明处啊！
KOF. Never heard. But okay, glad you're fine with cannibalism and human trafficking. Well, at least in the story form. Not in real life, of course. Step out of the shadows again. Alright, right, yeah, that's not really my cup of tea. So, probably why I don't know it. If How are they in the light? I don't understand though. Yes, yes. We do not condone cannibalism here. Yeah, I really don't understand her reasoning here. You're in the shadows, they're in the light? What are you talking about? If anything, they're probably even further in the shadows than he is, but sure. She laid it out straight. Have to say, her analysis isn't wrong. I'm not tied with the locals like Tang. Selling them off without him, locals might get nosy. Too risky. Their lives, mine, all on the line. What's your take on this whole situation? I looked at her, seeking advice. Her clear thinking earned my trust, got me wondering about her
我
thoughts.
想想，
Yes, yes. Please think, 11-year-old. That's absolutely way younger than me and apparently way more intelligent. She scratched her chin, pacing by Tang's body, lost in thought. Got something?
我有个想法。
Okay. What? Are we gonna make minced meat out of him and sell human flesh hot pots or something? Spill.
首先，我们必须要处理好星野的尸体，确保他的尸体不被任何人发现。
Yeah, thanks. That is true, Captain Obvious. Let's
然
go.
后，良叶可以自己做人牙子，把我们送去各自合适的地方。
He can act as the human trafficker and take us to our respective places. What are you talking about, girl? What does that mean? Can you explain more? It's a visual novel, so yeah. Sit back, relax, I'll read your story. About a guy with no brain trafficking human children from the ages of 6 to 12 who are weirdly sexualized sometimes. Yay. Kinda hate that I can't have any presets for content warnings on YouTube, or I haven't found it yet when I start the stream. I think there are some in the normal section when you go through your content. You can set it afterwards, or the platform does it for you, but I can't preset it. That's a bit better on Twitch, not gonna lie. Okay, can you explain more about it, Liang? Mansui, tell me.
我们4个家庭不一样，来历不一样，要去的地方自然是不一样的。
You mean to bring them back home? Mansui, that's not gonna work. They were sold off, at least 2 of them, because of, well, food problems, food shortage. So bringing them back home is just gonna get them sold off again. What are you talking about, girl?
红儿和翠儿这对姐妹，家里喂不活她们，我觉得没必要再把她们送回去了。
Okay, we agree on something.
良叶可以把她们卖给身边不愁吃喝的亲友，既能安顿好她们，也能换一笔钱。
You think Yang has any well-off relatives or friends he could sell them off to? Oh my god. Yeah, right, that's that. You've been traveling with this man for over a month. You've got to know him. You should know that he has nobody left. Otherwise he wouldn't have ended up on the street as a bandit after his father died.
琼华是被拐来的，良叶可以想办法联系上他的家人，跟他们再去要一笔钱。
As ransom. From a family that apparently doesn't care about her. Sure. Good plan.
如果他们能筹一笔钱，就把琼花送回去；不能的话，就把琼花卖给愿意要她的人。
What
比如
rich
说
friends!
良叶不愁吃喝的亲友。
Okay, she's an 11-year-old child. I know I shouldn't judge her plan here, but what rich friends? Wait.
Huh?
Your plan has a very big problem. I don't have rich relatives or friends nearby. I would say in general, Liang. In general. Actually, I don't have anyone I can ask for help. See? I laid out my words, and Mansui looked a bit surprised. She might have been surprised that at twice her age, I still had the social connections of an orphan. My dad had a small business, no rich friends. My parents eloped, tied the knot, solo, cut clan ties, so no family to reach out to.
良也好可怜。
Yes, yes, I know. Be sad for me. No need for your pity. Mansoy gave me a pitying look and I shot back. Hi, Xerox. I'm doing alright. Also very tired. Ooh, are you planning something big for Christmas? Ah, the presents, right, the presents. I will pet the dogs. They left. Jackson heard me starting the game and was like, nah, I'm out. Cannibalism is before me. He'll be back later, so don't worry. I'll give him pet. Enjoy your evening as always, Xerox. Mansui gave me a pitying look and I shot back. Thinking about it now, I really don't have many friends. My connections had always been weak. In this big world, was there anyone willing to lend me a hand? I pondered for a moment and suddenly thought of someone. Alright, I thought of someone.
什么人？
Yeah, who? Back in the famine, there was someone I met. I think she went to work in Haiso. She should have the means to support you all. She's got quite the network. Can reach out to some people. My relationship with her isn't great, but I did save her life once. Might be worth a shot to ask. I said to Mansui, recalling the person's face.
好，那咱们就去亥州找那个朋友吧。太好了。
It doesn't really sound like a friend, but yeah, let's go. Mansui relaxed when I mentioned my choice, showing genuine relief. Despite the brat's knack for fibbing, this happiness seemed real. She cared about those lambs. However, you sorted out everything for them. What about yourself? I asked her, puzzled about what she had in mind for herself. She talked a bunch but didn't bring up herself. I hate this translation. She looked down, thinking for a bit. Then she looked up, locking eyes with me. She could be thinking about why I asked, or maybe thinking about her own plans. Soon she spoke her mind to me.
我仔细考虑了一番，还是打算去洛阳。
Course.
我没法不报仇。
You need revenge? Right. So you want me to take you to the swine demon?
对，只送我过去就行。麻烦良爷了。
Alright. No.
良爷，你先别，不行，先听我说。
Yes, please explain.
良爷杀了星爷，再把其他几个孩子都送走，这事很容易暴露。
Since we'll be traveling in a group, what's so obvious about it?
为了不暴露，你可以还是把我送到屯阳那里去。然后你说星爷把其他孩子都拐跑了，只剩下我了。
And that would make sense. Why?
这样的话，良爷可以把丢了孩子的罪责全推在星爷身上。反正星爷不在人世，
I would
死人没法
still
来
have to pay the price.
这样，他们除了给钱少一些，估计也不会太为难良爷。良爷凭了一件事，也少了一个仇人。
Mm-hmm. You're too naive if you think that'll work. I don't know how tight Tongue is with those human traffickers, but the story won't stick. They'll trust a dead Tongue over a live me. Now that Tongue's out, there's no turning back. I've planned my escape down south, as far from the north as possible. You're thinking I'll risk going to Luoyang just to end up dead. That's foolish and pointless. He does have a brain. Let's go.
我并非是为了良爷考虑啊，我就是想复仇。
Well, if it's about your vengeance, then go there yourself. I know it's a death sentence for you to leave you, but actually, you made it from the capital of Luoyang. That was Liang, right? Can't remember. But you made it from the capital to the town that Liang is staying or was staying at the start of the game. Somehow. And now you're like, you need to bring me there. Well, I know why since I read up on the ending, but goddamn.
姐姐死了后，他便一直在我的梦里，我睡不好，必须要复仇。
The backstory in regards to how she's connected to him should be coming up soon, I hope. I stared at her and she looked back at me with a determined expression. Tears welled up in her eyes and it seemed as if she was looking through me, focused on something beyond. It was obvious her need for revenge was strong. Fine. If you insist on going to your doom, I won't stop you. I'll take you to Liang, sell you off, and then make a run for the south as soon as possible. I said with a helpless sigh, looking over at her.
谢谢良夜。
Is she crying? She nodded, all smiles. I just didn't get it. Me neither. What's there to be so happy about? It's like she completely detached, like she's not the one being sold, the one facing death. Alright, we're done talking. Let's get started with the first thing. Now we've got to figure out what to do with Tang's body.
良夜打算怎么处理星爷的尸体？
I don't have a plan. What are you looking at me for? How should I know how to dispose? Okay, Liang should know how to dispose of bodies. He did it so many times already.
此刻正在宵禁，明日店小二也会清扫整个客栈，一定要在这之前把尸体处理好。
Sure.
这家店也不是一般的店，是人牙子常用的店。
Yes, you've realized what's going on here, I guess.
若是让那店小二知道星爷死在店里，他肯定会通报给闪州的人牙子，我们之后的计划都难做了。
You don't have to tell me that. We are pretty much doomed if anything gets out that Tang is dead. But okay, sure. Tell me more about it. Mansui looked at the body, lost in thought. Well, I'm aware of all that, thanks Liang. Out in the boonies, it's simple. Find a spot away from the road and bury it. But in the city, I'm stumped.
良夜，我们也可以在城外埋呀。
I'd have to carry this whole body through the entire city. That's a no-go. That is not possible. No way.
为何不行？
Girl, body's too big and too bloody. Can't carry it out without raising suspicion. Imagine wrapping it in cloth and putting it on a horse. Someone's bound to notice. I slowly told Mansui. Well, imagine this. Guards at the gate asking questions, people smelling blood, seeing a pack horse carrying what looks like a human-shaped bloody bundle. It's a recipe for disaster. True.
也是。
Glad we agree. Mansui thought hard. What to do now? Should we bury the body in the inn's yard? That's not possible either. They would find him pretty quickly. We'll try bribing the waiter to help. Nah, too risky. Wasn't there a river going down the city? We could throw him in there. He would be found, no questions asked, but we would at least be rid of his body for a couple of days. We can't depend on just the waiter.
良夜，我有一个想法。
Yes, share. Just as I was thinking, Mansui seemed to come up with something. What idea?
我只是随便一提，这想法虽好，
Just
但我
spill
担心良夜
it.
不敢做。
Mansui sighed deeply and looked at me seriously. What's there I wouldn't do? I chuckled, feeling she underestimated me. Oh, are we dividing the body parts? The cleaver came down again and again, slicing through the meat and bone laid out on the stone floor. The first chop separated the skin and flesh, exposing the muscle and gleaming white bone below. The second chop cleanly snapped the bone, the sound echoing sharply in the room. With the third chop, a piece of meat still clinging to bone and sinew? What the hell is sinew? Was neatly divided into two. Well, who's gonna clean that up? And I thought it was a stone floor. This looks like a wooden one. I picked up a piece of meat about the size of my hand and tossed it into the first wooden basin. There were 2 basins in front of me, one for the meat and one bones. And the other for everything else. Ah, okay, for the meat and bones and... okay. The lass, barefooted, carried a water basin, cleaning up the bloodstains around me. The smell of blood in the bathhouse was strong, making my head spin and my stomach churn. I guess we should be lucky that, what's the chemical thingy called that you spray and then you light it up with a black light so you see bloody remains? I forgot. But yeah, that current, technical achievements are not a thing yet, so they can't see that we murdered and chopped up a body in this bathhouse. I wouldn't want to bathe here anymore after this. I would not. Well, okay, I don't think we will ever come back to this inn only for human traffickers, so I guess we're good on that one, but just thinking about it, I think I would be a bit traumatized to ever go back into bathhouses that look like this. The smell of blood in the bathhouse was strong, making my head spin and my stomach churn. Even though I was used to blood, I felt queasy at the moment. The lass's proposal really caught me off guard. For the time of half an incense stick, I didn't dare to do it. Now we've been busy for nearly 2 hours. About 2 hours ago, she came up with an idea for handling the body. The body of Tang needed to be taken outside the city and can't be buried near the inn. We needed to make the body look less conspicuous and get rid of the strong smell of blood. She said that we should treat the body like we do pork. We can cut the body of Tang into small pieces. The meaty parts, like pork, are cooked and tied up in a bag, then taken out of the city on the horse. Yum, yum, yum! As for the non-meat part, I'll gather them in a wooden tub, crush them up, mix them together and dump them into the inn's cesspool. The stinky cesspool would mask the bloody smell. The small parts would also be well hidden within it. And where do we get a pot big enough for all the human meat that we're about to cook? And where are we cooking that? Are we just gonna take over the inn's kitchen and do it all there? Okay, sure. I don't think this plan is really that thought through, but it'll all work out, I know. The small parts would also be well hidden within it. Even if people in the inn get suspicious, it'll be difficult for them to go check. I'm almost done chopping up the meat. Is the hot water ready?
刚去添过柴，大概是烧好了，我去看看。
Alright. You go fetch the water then. Be careful not to trip and scald yourself if you fall.
好，谢谢良爷提醒。
Yeah, sure. I'll remind you anytime you want. Mansui nodded obediently and went to fetch the hot water. The water had been heating for a while, and I told her to keep it going until it was bubbling. We planned to use it for boiling the meat. Initially, we thought of using the inn's kitchen, but it was locked up tight at night for the waiter. Plus, the kitchen spot wasn't big enough for all the meat, and cooking in batches would take too long. Besides, it was near where the waiter was sleeping and we didn't want to wake him. Then Mansui came up with an idea. She suggested blocking the bathhouse water pool temporarily, filling it with hot water and using that to cook the meat. Mansui cautiously carried a basin of hot water, walking barefoot through the bathhouse. With a splash, she poured the hot water into the pool. The bubbling water spread evenly across the surface, causing the level to rise slightly. Steam rose from the soup, distorting the air around it. Calling it a soup does not make it any better. Could we stop that? Thankfully, this was meant for cooking meat. If it were for bathing, even a moment in it would likely peel your skin off. Mansui paced back and forth a few times until the water level in the pool had finally reached a usable level. She wiped her forehead and sat down to rest. Seeing she was tired, I didn't push her. I sat beside the tank, tossing the meat in, and asked, "How'd you come up with this idea?" I lightly asked her. It's tough to picture a kid that young coming up with such a scary plan. True?
以前的时候，家里死了一只小猪仔。
Oh, she's talking about her kitten.
妈妈饿了，就把小猪仔放锅里给煮了吃。煮了后，猪仔明显比原来要小了，味道也不腥了。我一直记得很清楚。
Mansui said, hugging her knees, head resting on them. Watching the meat in the water, she spoke to me. Her eyes, as if she were remembering something, were empty and cold. I heard Tongue say if you end up at the swine demon's, he'd chow down on you. Do you reckon he'd munch on you raw or cook you up?
不知道，大概是生吃吧。
Yeah, raw is correct. You get 100 points. Let's go. Why do you figure that?
肉煮了后，就看不出是人样了。
True, I guess. Well, if you find a pot big enough to fit an entire human, I guess you could still cook them and keep them in their human form. It would not be the best dish you would ever have, but, it technically is possible.
他那样的人，估计是想看着我们的模样吃，只是一口气吃不完，能吃多少吃多少，剩下的大概会丢了吧。
Great. Sounds like a great man, of course. She continued, extrapolating her guesses. Hard to imagine analyzing stuff like this and is suited to her age. Why did you ask her, you idiot? Felt odd chatting with her. Though she looked 9, yet was in fact 11 years old, and her insides gave the impression of someone closer to my age. During the dismemberment of Tongue's body earlier, I couldn't stand it. Looking away and feeling the urge to vomit. She, on the other hand, remained cool, sorting the body parts as if they were just meat. Sometimes she'd cough from the smell, but that was it. I was getting more curious. Was she really from a regular farming family? What kind of experiences could make someone her age like this? Yeah, I wondered too. She was a normal kid just a year ago, so whatever you did to her father must have been really messed up, my dude. Heard something at the tavern once. There are people in this world who are born undead. Undead people have no feelings. Don't cry, don't laugh, don't fear. They can do anything calmly, just like grown-ups, even when they're kids. Scary stuff. No way, she wasn't like them undead types. When I spoke spooked her before, she seemed generally scared, not putting on a show. And when she played with other lambs, she seemed genuinely happy. It's like she got both the innocence of a child and the immaturity of an adult. Strange. This lass was too strange. I kept thinking about her, but my hand didn't stop, repeatedly throwing chunks of meat into the water. What a delectable soup. Let's go. Tossing and tossing until there was nothing left in the wooden basin. I moved Tongue from one place to another. Piece by piece, he went into the water. The fat ones floated up, the thin ones sank down, reminding me of frogs bobbing up and down in the water. Tongue. Though it might sound hypocritical to say so, seeing him like that, I did feel a bit sad. What did they do to his head, I wonder? Is it just gonna get crushed? Probably. Even if he was killed, he wouldn't have wanted to end up like that. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I don't think anyone wants to end up chopped up in some weird human soup. I shouldn't have let this happen, even if I killed him. Maybe only that swine demon who eats like alive kids deserves such a fate. But how could that be possible? Some people were born into wealth and privilege, destined for a life of luxury. No matter how far they fell, they still wouldn't end up being cooked. Right? The meat looks cooked white. We'll have to bag it soon. After cooking for a while longer, I noticed the meat was almost done, so I talked to Mansui beside me.
How?
This should not work now that I think about it. With each chunk of cold meat that you add to this hot water, the hot water will lower in temperature, and since you can't heat up this whole basin but have to add more hot water, it shouldn't really work. You can, of course, like cook the outermost layer, and that's probably gonna be enough, but this whole setup does not work. Okay, she softly replied, her eyes still fixed on the rolling meat. Okay, whatever. After bagging it up, we'll need to clean this place too. The blood smells too strong. Got to scrub it off.
How?
She nodded in agreement. Tonight, you'll sleep in my room. Tomorrow, we'll rouse the lambs and explain. She nodded. The lass was likely worn out. No, I think she's currently... well... what's the word? Pretty much has her body move, but her conscience is very far away, so... she is not in her right mind right now, let's just say it like that. She was keeping her responses short and to the point, asking her anything, I'd just get a quick answer. She looked tired. Sorry, me too. Maybe all the lambs are like that. They want to sleep when it's time.
良夜.
Yes. She suddenly spoke as if wanting to tell me something. What's up?
我有点饿.
This made you hungry? Okay, maybe you're more of a psychopath than I thought. Can't get into the inn's kitchen. I'll get you some rations later.
不用. 虽然饿，但什么东西也不想吃.
Yeah, I can imagine. Fair enough.
等都忙完后，我们洗个澡吧.
How about no? Okay. How about no? After a quick break, we resumed work once the meat was cooked. I packed the cooked meat into a bag and dumped the rest into the cesspool. She cleaned the blood-stained tub and scrubbed the bathhouse repeatedly. When we finished all that, we took a bath in said bathhouse. I used the tub, she used the bucket, both of us washing separately. Maybe we were just too tired and wanted to finish quickly and go to bed. Maybe it was just dissecting Tang's body together. Me and the lass, we were used to each other, weren't shy anymore. After a bath, we only slept for about an hour. Shortly after returning to our room, the sky outside began to lighten, with distant bells, followed by roosters and dogs barking. I woke up first, then nudged the lass beside me and went next door to wake up the other lambs. I gathered them to discuss our next moves. Listen up. Plans have changed. We are not heading to Luoyang for now. I solemnly announced the new plan to the lambs. They looked at each other, then back at me, speechless. Pack up. We're heading north to Haizhou. Once we're there, I'll announce our next move.
良夜.
Yes. Suddenly, Sir called out to me, sounding worried. What's up? I frowned slightly.
之前三爷说了，去洛阳才能吃饱饭，那里有吃不完的馒头。
And you believed him? Why?
是啊，梁爷，不是要去洛阳吗？为啥突然又不去了？
Huh. The two sisters seemed really down. I figured Yisan and Tang had been lying to them for a while. They kept saying Luoyang would be a paradise with endless food. Luoyang, with its endless steamed buns, had become their dream. How do I break it to them gently? Let them know Luoyang's a good spot, but once they are there, they'll be devoured alive. If I told them straight up, they wouldn't get it. Might not even buy it. I froze, didn't know how to break it to them.
梁爷听说在洛阳城收我们的人不是好人，便改变主意，要把我们送去好人那里了。
That's one way of putting it. I guess that's the child-friendly version. The people you were supposed to go to are not good people.
放心吧，去亥州的生活一定比去洛阳更好。梁爷是不会骗我们的。
Yeah, I guess. Out of the two, he's definitely the one that the girls should trust, so... Preach, Matsui, preach. Just when I didn't know what to tell the sisters, the lass spoke up for me. Sir and Honger widened their eyes, looking at Matsui.
是啊，三儿姐都这么说了，就信梁爷吧。
Thank you, thank you. I can totally be trusted.
虽然我也想去洛阳，但既然梁爷说去亥州更好，那自然是更好的。
Kyonghua smiled, reassuring the sisters.
好，既然姐姐们都这么说了，那我和翠儿就放心了。
Yes, trust me. Trust me and follow me to your next destination.
翠儿信梁爷，梁爷是好人。
Oh, thank you. I'm such a good guy, I know. Hunger and Sir smiled at me, especially Sir, who looked at me with trust in her eyes. I paused, feeling a warm sensation in my chest, unable to find the words. I couldn't deny it. Being trusted like this felt pretty good. Afterward, I untied the lamps. I got some fruit from the inn and gave it to them to eat before planning to leave. Before leaving, I asked Matsui to watch over the lamps and went back to the bathhouse. After airing it out, most of the blood and strange smell had gone away. though there was still a faint odd smell. Since this place didn't usually have many guests, it shouldn't raise the waiter's suspicion for him to investigate. I double-checked for any bloodstains then. Once I was completely at ease, I let the lambs out of the inn. As I hit the streets of Sanzhou and loaded the cooked meat onto the pack horse, however, two strange characters caught my attention. They were standing at the inn's entrance. One fat and tall, the other skinny and short, dressed like caravan guards, with mean looks on their faces. They look kinda cute, not gonna lie. The fat guy stood 9 feet tall, bearing a ferocious look. It was immediately apparent that he was the difficult-to-deal-with type. While the skinny one had a shifty look in his eyes, one could tell that he wasn't good either. I let the lambs out, Mansui leading one pack horse while I led the other. Their eyes stayed glued to us, slowly moving as we walked. Something was off. Who were they? Why should I? Just as I started to wonder, the fat guy called out. I stopped, and the other lambs followed suit. What's up? No, never heard that name, sorry. He asked me in a low voice. I didn't reply immediately. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead and palms. No good. This guy was shady. Shi Jing was Tang's real name. This guy was probably called over by Tang. Don't know him. Who's Shi Jing? I forced myself to stay calm, speaking coldly to the fat guy. He didn't answer, just glared at me harder. Why should I tell you where I'm from? He kept asking and I got annoyed, snapping at him. At the same time, I reached for the blade on the pack horse, ready to draw. Sanzhou is no small village. Drawing blades in the streets is forbidden. But this inn's location was remote. It would be a while before city guards arrived. If possible, I didn't want to start a fight with this guy, but if he really was Tang's man, if he found out I'd taken out Tang, then I'd have to fight him right here. What is that fat guy packing? He has a short, blunt weapon on his back. He's built like a tank, so close combat isn't in my favor, but if I can draw my blade fast, I might catch him off guard.
好了，大锤，别为难人家。
Okay, I guess he has a hammer on his back. Just as things were heating up, the skinny guy called out the fat guy's name, stopping
这
him.
大哥都说了不认识石星，就是不认识了，你纠缠他做什么？
Right, don't bother me. I don't know him.
他带着崽子从这家客栈出来，肯定也是跑生意的，别挨了人家的财路。
Dawn, you here even though it's not your day of watching streams? He's just leaving this inn with the kids. He's going to be doing okay. Thank you, skinny guy who probably doesn't trust us either.
可我们不也是来接崽子的活的？石星那次都说了，这里有大活。
So maybe it's different kids. Hmm?
他说鸡打鸣时就和我们在这儿会合，人影都没见。我问问这人不行啊？
Ask somewhere else.
多嘴傻，我教你的都忘了。你娘都说了，出来混就该听我的，少说话多做事。
Your mother said to listen to me when we were out. Adorable. These two are just plain adorable. I kind of wish we'd have chosen the death option, because then I guess we'd be killed by these guys. Just to see them in a more menacing light, but right now, I just find them adorable.
哥，这莫见怪啊，莫见怪。
Right, no hard feelings. I'm gonna go now, thank you, bye! The fat guy and the skinny guy argued some more, then the skinny guy apologized to me. No big deal. Inn's open. If you're searching for someone, you can check inside. I calmly told the skinny guy, giving them a hint.
嘿嘿嘿，好嘞，哥，我们一会儿就去。
Right. Have fun. The skinny guy agreed and then pulled the fat guy to stand at a distance. Then they kept their eyes on the inn. Let's go. Everything's settled, I told Mansui and the other lambs. So we set off again on our journey. We're headed to outside Sanzhou, then up north to Jin, and finally to Haizhou. Haizhou. Chinese pronunciation are hard. I reckon those two, one fat and one skinny, were probably hired by Tang. They literally said so. Young, I know you have like the memory of a goldfish, even though that is a lie. Goldfish have pretty good memory. But they literally said that they were supposed to meet Tang. My dude. I know game and consistency, this game especially, and consistency does not go together, but they might be caravan guards or bandits. I had a guess about why they were here. That proposal Tang cooked up for me last night was just a con. He was just trying to keep me calm so I wouldn't fight back. Come the next day, he'd bring them in, ready to take me out, then let those two take over my job. You haven't changed one bit. Well, he has changed quite a bit right now, considering he's minced meat, don't you think? Speaking of that, those two were pretty interesting. The fat guy acts tough, the skinny guy talks smooth. The fat guy throws fists, the skinny guy smooths things over. Kind of feels like me and Tang. Brings back some memories. What do you think? Thinking about it, I couldn't resist leaning towards the pack horse and whispering softly, "Yeah, that pack horse is gonna answer." Of course, there would be no response from either the horse or the backs on its back. Closest to me, King Hua heard my voice and gave me a curious glance, wondering why I suddenly started talking to myself. At this moment, perhaps only Mansui and I knew the truth. That I wasn't talking to myself. That I was talking to a recently departed partner. That he was lying in pieces on the pack horse right now. And that his flesh danced with the horse's movement as we embarked on our journey out of the city. Liang. Chapter 11. Dream. Okay. What are we dreaming about? I took the lambs and left Sanzhou. It feels so light-hearted now that Tang isn't around. It's probably not going to stay that way, but this is so relaxing. All things considered. Leaving the city was easier than expected. The guards at the gate didn't bother to ask questions. One of them, looking tired, just whiffed us through as if driving flies away, making our prepared stories pointless. Once outside, we headed north towards Hanzhou, about 30 miles away. Taking these lambs to Haizhou will take at least 3 days. Another long journey ahead. We'll likely be in the mountains for the next few days. Who's gonna... Oh god, do we have to stay up the entire night? Now that I think about it, since we're the only person that can keep watch, the girls are definitely too young for that. The silver moon shone bright and stars scattered across the sky. At night, we lit a campfire and gave the lambs their food. Once they finished eating, I grabbed a shovel from the pack horse's bundle, ready to complete a task I had left undone. We're far from any town here, so anything buried won't be easily discovered. I'm planning to bury Tang. The shovel lifted the tough soil, dust swirling. I dug beneath a tree. Once the hole was ready, I unpacked the meat and dropped it in piece by piece. With the meat buried, I then filled the hole with a shovel. After burying people before, I'd usually split... What? I'd usually split quick to meet up with Tang. Eh? Okay, sure. But this time... split in the sense of leaving them. Okay, yeah. I see. But this time, after burying him, I didn't leave immediately. Instead, I stuck the shovel in the ground and stared at the freshly made mound for a while longer. I even sat down, keeping the company of the buried guy for a spell. Didn't do much, just kept my eyes locked on that hole. Life sure throws some curveballs, huh? Never imagined I'd be here with Tang like this. The person who would previously wait for my return and is now resting right before my eyes. After the deed was done, I headed back. After 50 steps, I was back at our camp. Kyung-hwa approached me, seeming like she had something on her mind.
良夜，
Yes? Why did nobody ask about Tang, by the way? I'm wondering. What's up?
有点困了，想去睡觉。
Why didn't you? Sure, go ahead.
可是绳子还没绑。
Do you need the ropes to be tied around you to feel safe now? Strange. Kyung-hwa motioned to her waist, showing it was bare without any ropes. As a result, I would have tied ropes on them before they slept. As a rule. Oops. She wanted to remind me so I wouldn't forget. Never mind. No more ropes. Tying and untying you every day is a hassle. Unless we're tackling steep slopes, no more ropes. I let Kyung-hwa and the others know about the new rule. Kyung-hwa looked surprised, and the other lambs gathered around, curious.
良爷，星爷去哪儿了？
Wow, it took you the entire day to figure that one out, huh? Hong-er asked me, curious. Since last night's meal, she hadn't seen Tang, nor had I mentioned him. We had a fight yesterday, and he got mad and left.
星爷之后不回来了吗？
No. He has left this world. Nope. He won't.
星爷，
I hope you're not sad about that. Hong-er dropped her head, looking downcast. What? You still want him around?
我还是希望星爷在的。
What? Why?
星爷一开始的时候特别凶，但是最近几天就像是变了一个人，开始对我们好了。
That wasn't his real personality, child. He was just... Oh no.
昨天你和水姐姐快回来的时候，他还说等到了洛阳要给我买小玩物的。
Yeah, just because he felt bad about what was about to happen to you. Nothing else. Like, I don't know, having the meat, the animal think happy things or have positive experiences before its death affects the meat. So I guess, in a way, he did that just for you. Yay, very positive. It was all an act. Playthings. Who knows if he'd actually get any. He just wanted you to go to Luoyang. Don't trust him.
啊，真的是这样吗？
I subconsciously argued against Hong-er, trying to remind them that Tongue wasn't a good person. But then I thought, nah, no need to go further. She's too young to get it. And Tongue's already buried in pieces, so why disturb him? Enough talk for tonight. Time to go to bed. We'll have a long journey tomorrow. I yelled out to the lamps, signaling an end to the conversation with Hong Er. They obediently settled down to sleep after hearing this. I stared at the fire, just about to doze off when a thought hit me. Back when Tongue was here, we took turns staying awake. When I slept, he stayed up, and vice versa. Not that you ever actually paid attention during your night shift, but yeah, you did that. But now that he's gone, there's no one to take turns with. Now that I think about it, maybe we don't need shifts anymore. Before, we took turns to keep an eye on the lamps to stop them from running off while we slept. But now we've built trust with each other, so there's no need to worry about them running away. I thought you had night shifts and night watches because of potential bandits, wild animals, or a combination of both. Right, sure. Just sleep through the night. That's probably gonna work out fine. So, the only real reason remaining for shifts is to watch out for bandits and beasts. At night, bandits hardly ever move through the mountains, and the road from Shanso to Haiso is pretty safe. And beasts usually steer clear of fire, so there's not much to worry about from them.
良夜，睡不着吗？
No, he's currently debating with himself if he should just sleep. As I stared at the fire, Mansei's voice came from the other side. She was across the fire from me, looking at me with a smile. Nope, about to turn in. I was just getting sleepy and then you woke me up.
这么早睡，今天不打算做点什么吗？
That sounds so wrong. Why are you wording it like this? Aren't we doing something tonight? You mean shadow play? I realized what she wanted to do with me. Along the way, she had taught me shadow play. But without the right items like drums and gongs, our performances felt incomplete. And we couldn't make puppets without extra strings and donkey height, so we could only perform the three heroes battle Lu Bu. I had brought everything we needed while in Shanso, but with so much happening these past 2 days, I forgot all about it. Now that we have everything, are we going to learn tonight? Despite getting little sleep last night, I felt quite awake. Let's learn tonight. Well, let's find a spot. I told Mansui, then dug out the wooden box and drums on the back horse. I handed the drum to Mansui and carried the wooden box myself, walking with her away from the camp. We found a spot about 50 steps from camp. I unpacked the wooden box and set up the frame and white screen while Mansui fetched fire from our main camp to light a new one. Once the flames flickered to life, I glanced around. Oddly, I had a feeling. The more I looked at the tree beside me, the more it looked like the one where I had buried Tongue earlier. Too much of a coincidence. Venturing 50 steps into the night only to end up back here. Sssss. Could it be Tongue's spirit wanting to watch our performance? After all, both Mansui and I kept it a secret from him. He's never seen it before.
良夜，今晚想学什么？
I want to cover all the topics I couldn't learn before, like making puppets and drumming.
好，那先学制作小人吧。良夜想做什么样的小人？
Don't know. Not sure. Name me some plays.
我会的戏也不多，只会三英战吕布、 武松打虎，哪吒闹海。
They all say mean nothing to me, but great, you know so much. Are those all your dad told you?
对啊，我又不是要做戏子的，用不着这手艺来谋生。爹爹便只教了这3个。
What are your plans then? Alright, let's do Wusong fights the tiger. Let's make the tiger first. I told Mansui what I wanted and she nodded before getting to work. Mansui sat on the ground with the wooden box in front of her. One by one she picked up all the necessary items from the wooden box. A small knife, 2 brushes, 3 pieces of donkey hide, and 4 bottles of dye. After taking out the items, she closed the lid of the box and spread the donkey hide on top. Using her fingers, she smoothed out the hide, then pressed down with her knuckles and rubbed it repeatedly. Once the donkey hide was all flat, she took out one of the brushes. It had a really sharp tip, probably for sketching. She stared blankly at the donkey hide for a moment before starting to draw. Using the fine brush, she carefully outlined the tiger's general shape on the donkey hide, then went eat the donkey hide. I don't think that's really that nutritious or tasty, so I would say no and hide on. Using the fine brush, she carefully outlined the tiger's general shape on the donkey hide, then went on to add details like the tiger's tail, head, and limbs. Before long, I saw she had roughly drawn the tiger's appearance. Tigers. Is this supposed to be the tiger? Looks more like a sick cat to me. Can we see it? I kinda wanna see it. Come on. Standing aside, I commented with a frown. You could probably not do it any better, so shut up, Liang. The lass's tiger drawing was all its limbs and has all its limbs and some resemblance, but it lacked patterns and presence.
一会儿漏课上色完成后，就上大虫啦。
Guess she did not take it as an insult. Great. Mansui explained to me. Then she started the next step, carving. She took a deep breath, grabbing the small knife nearby. She held down the hide with her left hand and pressed the tip of the small knife onto it with her right hand. With focused attention, she kept the knife steady while gently guiding the hide with her other hand. The hide was pushed around the tip, and with strenuous effort, the piece she had outlined with thin strokes was peeled from the hole bit by bit. Huh, impressive craftsmanship. Must have helped your dad plenty before. I couldn't help but give praise. Mansui got startled by my sudden noise. With a bit too much strength, her left hand made the knife tip nick the tiger's throat. The height tiger seemed as if its throat had been cut, with the head and body split apart, just like tongue buried nearby.
完了，这张漏废了，都怪梁爷突然和我说话。
Right. Mansui looked down at the donkey hide on the wooden box, feeling disappointed. She blamed me, and she had a point. I didn't expect that carving required so much concentration. Sorry, you can carve another. No, I think it was you mentioning her father that interrupted her workflow, but sure. It was the concentration. I quietly apologized to her. She didn't answer me, just took out another piece of donkey hide and started carving on the wooden box. This time she was more focused, drawing first with a brush and then carving with a knife, same as before. Maybe she was nervous. Sweat began to appear on her forehead, her eyelashes trembled. But she didn't blink. I stayed aside quietly, not saying anything. It was dead quiet around us, but if you listened carefully, you could hear more. The rustling of the wind sweeping through the trees, the crackling of the flame burning in the campfire, the continuous chirping of bugs, and the held breath we deliberately muffled. All of them are fairly clear. After carefully carving the new tiger she drew, she picked up another brush. This brush had a thicker stroke. She opened the dye bottle, dipped the brush in a bit of water, then dipped it into the dye and carefully applied it to the donkey hide tiger.
这里是红色，这里是茶色，这里则是黑色。
Cool. She leaned over the wooden box, quietly singing as she was painting. At that moment, she was rather childlike. Soon after, the tiger was filled with color.
良夜，做好了。
Good job. Can I see it now? After finishing the color ring, she put the brush down. Let me see. I stepped up to her and checked out her artwork. Not too shabby. Yeah, I want to see you do it better. She crafted a big tiger crouched on the ground. The tiger's head is really expressive, with a mean look in its eyes. Just a tad skinny though, kind of resembling a mean cat. Not bad. Ready to try Wusong next? I praised her and was eager to see her go on to craft Wusong.
武松不好做。
How's that? Didn't expect her to look worried all of a sudden. Why is that?
看过的那3场戏，走兽我基本都会画，但不会画人。
Yeah. Alright, Onyx. See you next time. Ah, my emotional support Jackson is back. I can almost draw every animal from the 3 stories I've seen, but none of the human characters yet. That would be so me. I cannot for the life of me remember how people look. Not that I would be able to draw any animals either, but you know. Doesn't that mean that besides the tiger, you can't draw anything else?
也不是啊，我还会画赤兔马呢。
Seems like she wasn't too sure about drawing people. Isn't there the Lu Bu puppet in that box? Why not try copying that?
身形倒是能临摹的相似，但我不知道武松长什么样，该怎么办呀？
Can't you just reuse puppets? I don't think people can really tell the difference, you know? That's a problem, isn't it? I let out a sigh. We fell into a short silence.
对了，良夜，我想到一个主意。
Sure, what's your idea this time? Is it as good as, you know, just hacking up the body of Tang? She suddenly perked up again. What's the idea? I looked over at her.
我可以照着良夜画武松。
Uh-huh. Great. Yeah, totally. You think I look like
不
Wusong?
知道，但想试试看。
Sure.
我画画一直都没有什么想法，若是空想，什么也画不出来。可若是照着临摹，10分能有9分像。
Ay, ay, ay. Okay, she's a lot like me when it comes to drawing. I can copy and it will look good. But if I have to come up with something else, no. Sure, give it a shot. Since she was in the mood to draw and I was keen to see Wusong as well, so I had her give using me as a model for her drawing a shot. 10 out of 10. I'd like to see what she'd come up with. Copying my countenance then. I sat down before her. She sat too, then spread out another piece of donkey hide. She scrutinized me carefully, her eyes stuck on me. At first, I thought we were staring each other down, so I glanced away uneasily, trying to look at her out of the corner of my eye. But then I saw she wasn't just staring at me, she was really scanning my face, my shoulders, my whole figure before we started sketching Wusong. Take care of the cameras and crew. I gotta go for a few hours. We'll catch you later. You haven't fallen asleep. Alright. Have fun, Dawn. Everybody's leaving me. Yeah. You go, take care. Got to admit, she was putting her heart into the work when it came to drawing those puppets. What kind of Wusong will she make modeled after me? After an incense stick of time, she finished drawing Wusong. I glanced at her newly colored Wusong. This Wusong really resembled me. Can we stop repeating the name? Every detail, from the eyes to the nose and even the hairstyle and expression, was the same. The only difference might be that the puppet in the shadow play seemed to have broader shoulders and wore a tiger skin skirt. If he didn't mind that Wusong was wearing a tiger skin skirt before he even fought the tiger, this puppet was quite well done. It looked pretty lifelike, evoking Wusong's fierce determination and boldness. I guess she might have recalled my expression from when I killed Tang yesterday, depicted it like that. Lovely. Looks good. Some parts look like me, others like Wusong. And how do you know what Wusong looks like? I gave praise to her drawing and she seemed happier. With all the puppets done, do we string them onto the bamboo sticks next?
还不行，染料还得干一干，等干透了后，还要裁剪一番才能穿到竹签上。
I thought you already cut it out? I don't understand this whole process. I'm not gonna lie, but I thought she drew them, colored them, and then carved them out of the hide. Well, don't question it, but I need a short toilet break. I'll be right back. That was this button, right? Yeah. Alright, let's go back. Not yet. Okay, so it'll take a while longer, I guess. Alright, seems like we won't be performing the new play tonight. You should go get some sleep now.
良夜呢？不回去睡吗？
Apparently not. Not tired yet. Strike while the iron's hot. I want to try your method and make a red hair for Lubu.
那我也先不睡了，陪一会儿良夜，帮你看看。
Go to bed, child. Alright, young. I sat down and so did she, watching me draw.
良夜，用这个，动刀前要先用细笔画一遍。
She gave me the fine brush. I took it. One hand on the donkey hide, the other ready to draw, but after waiting for a long time, all I managed was a single dot on the hide. Nope, you better head back and hit the hay. Can't get anything done with someone watching, I awkwardly said to Mansui. It's true. With her staring at me, I just couldn't get the brush moving. As an adult, if my drawing turned out worse than this lass's, it would be pretty embarrassing. No, drawing has nothing to do with age. It comes down to pretty much experience. And to be fair, I will give her Wusong, which I admit was actually pretty good. 9 out of 10. I figure I just don't have that drawing talent.
好，那我去睡了。良夜也要早睡。
Yes, I should also go to bed. You're right, since we only got like 1 hour of sleep yesterday. Mansui said, nodding at me awkwardly. At my awkwardness, before heading back toward the camp. Phew, finally, I'm alone now. So, how do I draw red hair? I thought hard, remembering the stagecoach horses I had seen, and started sketching. Do we not get to see his horse? Sad. The next day. Last night, after finishing drawing red hair, I went back to camp to sleep. I slept restlessly without tongue to take shifts with. I kept feeling like someone might come by, every rustle catching my attention, so I didn't sleep well and had a dreamless night. When the morning sun hit me, I set out again with the lambs. As we walked, I thought about the shadow play and what was next for the lambs. The sun rose high, then dipped behind the peaks. We travelled north for 6 or 7 hours and arrived again at nightfall. Arrived?
良夜，良夜，我想看看你昨天做的赤兔马。
Yeah, sure, I'm gonna show you, but I'm really tired of the same old background each and every time. Yeah, I know. It takes a lot of effort to come up with different backgrounds, but they could have changed, like, slight, I don't know, put a tree here sometimes or something, just to change it up somehow. We've been here like 500 times already. Same with the same old mountain path that we've taken so many times now. Later that night, after the other lambs had gone to sleep, Mansui and I returned to our second camp, 50 steps away. Once we had the fire going, she was all eager to check out the red hair I drew yesterday. Could be better, I said blindly, pulling out the red hair from the wooden box and passing it to her. She took the red hair, examining it cautiously.
大致不错，挺有赤兔马的感觉，就是少了点。
Let me have a check. I fetched the Lubu puppet from the wooden box and held it up beside the red hair. It's true. The horse I made was a tad bit small. Lubu looked twice as big as the horse, riding with a strong grip, like he was carrying it along as they ran. That's adorable to imagine. It may give him a sense of power as he rides, but it looks like the horse could easily be crushed. Not very realistic. Yep, it's a tad small. I'll sketch another red hair later, but first, got something to ask you.
什么呢？
How do you play the drums?
哦，锣鼓很好奏的，弟弟教过我，随着演出的节奏，把握重要的时机就好。人物登场的时候要奏得稳一些，打斗的时候奏得快一些，说词儿的时候奏得缓一些。
That's easy. But drum steadily for intros is like, okay. What rhythm should you keep? Got it. I'll give it a shot next time. She explained it straightforwardly. Makes sense now. If it weren't for the risk of waking up the sleeping lambs, I'd give it a shot. But before trying out the drums, I'm more eager to see her perform a bit. How about you perform Wusong Fights the Tiger? I suggested to Mansui.
好，
She nodded and began organizing the items needed for the performance. She took out the bamboo sticks and threaded the puppets onto them. To help her start the show fast, I also set up the wooden sticks and the white screen. Mansui put on a show of Wusong Fights the Tiger for me. This time she hummed softly as she performed, but it was obvious she wasn't as familiar with the words of Wusong Fights the Tiger as she was with the three heroes battle Lubu. A few times she forgot the words and just kept humming instead. I watched closely how she manipulated the puppets and imagined the drum beats in my mind. Later, at her request, I copied her moves and performed a bit myself. She watched carefully and gave me tips.
梁叶学东西还挺快的，有模有样的。
Thank you, thank you. You're a good teacher too. Today was quite something. Just a pity we didn't try the drums to avoid working the lambs.
那我们再跑远点，去试试看。
No. Well, never mind. We shouldn't go too far, lest we lose sight of the camp. Got to keep an eye in case beasts attack the camp or a fire breaks out.
梁叶，我倒有一个想法，
What? What's that? What do you have in mind?
明天要不要让他们看我们演影子戏啊？
Sure. Mansui's eyes sparkled as she proposed. I thought about it for a moment. Yeah, that could be good. We started doing shadow play secretly in order to avoid Tongue, but now that Tongue was miles away, we didn't have to worry about hiding anymore. Miles away is one way of putting it, I guess. Hey, wanna see some shadow play? On the third night since leaving Sancho, after handing out rations, I suddenly brought it up to the lambs. They all turned their heads to look at me curiously.
梁爷，影子戏是啥？
影子戏是啥？
Shadow filet. Honger seemed clueless about what shadow play is. Sir wasn't just clueless, she even assumed shadow play was some kind of food.
我知道影子戏，梁叶竟然会演。
After I spoke, Kyung-hwa asked curiously. Phew, at least her question made me feel a bit less awkward. I've been practicing with the lass for a bit. Now, we're almost set to perform together, so we figured we'd invite you all to watch. I nodded towards Mansui beside me.
我和梁叶好几个晚上都在练，练了好久了。
Mansui nodded as well.
好啊，你们演吧，很想看四儿姐和梁叶演的戏，
You better be.
想看影子戏，想吃影子戏。
I hate to break it to you, but no eating tonight, sir. The lambs all seemed really excited, although sir might not quite get what shadow play is yet. Okay, let's start with the 3 heroes battle Lubu. I told the lambs, then took the wooden box off the pack horse. I set up the sticks, hung the white screen, and put the puppets on the bamboo sticks. Before, we had to sneak away to do these things, but now we could do it openly for the lambs to enjoy.
王爷，那你来操野，我来揍锣鼓。
Sure thing, why not? Sure, and when you play the drums, it would be nice if you could sing a bit.
我唱不好。
But you keep singing. Mansui hesitated, picking up the drums while glancing at me anxiously. Give it a shot, just to set the mood. You can sing softly. I told Mansui, and she nodded in agreement. While adjusting the frame, I saw her quietly mouthing words, as if practicing singing secretly. Again and again, she concentrated her efforts on practicing diligently. Seems like she really wants to sing well for these lambs. I'm ready. After everything was set, I whispered to her. Then I sat behind the white screen, hiding myself. Mansui sat next to me, holding the drums. The lambs in front of the screen by the fire looked on with eager eyes. Yeah. In my left hand, I held 2 bamboo sticks, guiding Songfei's serpent spear in battle. With 2 more sticks in my right hand, I steered his legs, horse, and urging him onward. Clang, 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 clang. Then rhythmic drumming filled the air. I looked over and saw Mansui starting to drum. Wide rope. Oh yeah.
无价速宝镜，丈八蛇毛手眉尾。
As the drums rolled, she chimed in with her voice. This time, though, still hushed, it carried more intent. It wasn't just a hum anymore. She was genuinely singing. Maybe she hadn't practiced much before. Maybe she just watched her dad perform. But to make the shadow play enjoyable for the lambs, she was giving it her best shot. Shadow play needs teamwork. She acted seriously, so I had to keep up. I focused on controlling Songfei. He wielded his serpent spear bold and fierce at the city gates. I imagined a brave hero with a leopard-like head. With bated breath, I moved the sticks, controlling the puppets, their shadows dancing on the screen. I brought my vision of Zhang Fei to life on the screen. Mansui played the drums softly when singing along, and I followed her lead. I brought Zhang Fei onto the stage, and then introduced Lubu, Guang Yu, and Liu Bei, one by one. The lambs were all eyes, watching the screen intently as they clapped along with Mansui's drumming, adding to our performances. Oh my god. However, when it came time to control 2 characters battling at once, my hands couldn't keep up. I struggled to manage with only 1 hand per character, making my movements stiff and awkward. Mansui noticed I was having a tough time. She kept singing, but got up, handed the drums to Kyonghua and Hong'er. The drums still sounded as the other lambs took Mansui's place, while she sat beside me. Taking Lu Bu from me, she joined my Songfei on stage. Serpent's spear clashed heaven-cleaving painting halberd as they rushed back and forth, fighting each other to their heart's content. As the battle reached its climax, Mansui began to sing again, while the lambs in front of the white screen intensified their efforts. As they tried to keep up with our pace, their drumming grew somewhat chaotic. Even though the rhythm got messy, like the random falling of raindrops, it still added to the fun. Before the screen, drums thumped steadily, while on it, weapons clashed and figures swirled in a frenzy of action. The screen was a spectacle of fantastic action, and all lost ourselves in its shadow and sheen. And we all lost. The three heroes' battle oboe was done. The stick puppets dropped like they lost their spirit, plopping onto the sand. She stopped singing and the lamps put down their drums. Even afterward, the lamps were still excited for quite a while. For Hong-Er and Sir, it was their first Shadowplay experience. They were curious how we controlled the puppets in battle, so they eagerly peeked behind the screen. For Kyung-Hwa, it was her first time seeing a Shadowplay since she'd been away from her family for so long. I don't know when she last saw one, but the wistful look on her face gave the impression she was reminiscing about something special. For me, this show seems to have finally brought me out of the shadow of the past. Explosions were replaced by drum beats, cries by laughter, and the fire's crackling took on a new meaning. The Shadowplay overshadowed the nightmare. My haunting past, the explosion the 6th year of Jiangji, is slowly becoming something I can face. End of chapter? Not yet. Okay, I'm gonna go until the end of the chapter, so we have 4 more chapters to go, but my voice won't hold on for much longer, so if there's a break in the story, I'm gonna take that as well. Soon after, the lamps dozed off, and Zoe and I tidied up our things in the wooden box and had a brief chat.
梁叶，
Yes, what is it? What's so funny?
他们挺喜欢我们演的戏呢，不仅看得投入，还等我们一起演。
I sure did.
刚才演到最后的时候，我们都像是一个戏班子了。
Maybe we can all act together and go on around the cities collecting money, although I don't think you would earn enough money to feed 5 people. So, yeah, probably not the best idea. A bandit with 4 little girls isn't much of a troupe, though. I laughed softly, replying to Muncie. After saying that, my smile suddenly froze and I stayed silent for a while. Just now, without realizing it, I didn't call them lambs, but used the term girls for the first time. That surprised me and made me feel a bit uncomfortable about the change. Sure, I've made up my mind to protect the lives and not sell them off as lamb dishes anymore, but when I reach Haizhou, I'll still have to sell them to make money, so shouldn't I avoid getting too close to them? In the end, I'm still a bandit. Mansui seemed to catch on to my different way of talking and the sudden pause. She didn't say anything about it, just quietly put the wooden boxes in the pack horse's pack. But later, I thought she was going to sleep. But then she suddenly asked me a question.
话说梁叶，有件事我还是很想知道。
Yes, what might that be? What's it? What is it?
梁叶说过，你和你爹曾因今后要做什么而闹矛盾。
Yes?
很久以前，在那一场大爆炸发生之前，在梁叶小的时候，你想成为什么样的人呢？
Good question. You still care about that, huh? She sure doesn't let things go easily, remembering that I didn't tell her back then. That's my own secret, and it's been so many years since then. Isn't much to say about it.
为什么呀？
I was getting fed up with her constant pestering, and then she spoke up again.
那这样吧，梁叶若是同我讲你的这个秘密，我也告诉你一个我的秘密。
Ooh, we trade secrets now. Alright, alright. Her secret? This lass had seemed to be hiding something from me all this time. If I could find out, it might put my mind at ease. I could agree to this exchange condition. Fine, it's just an old dream from back then. Now it has long disappeared. Doesn't hurt anyway. I let out a sigh. This lass did arouse my curiosity. I really wanted to know her secret, so I gave in. When I was coming of age, I loved watching plays. They often featured different kinds of heroes. Some like gods, some generals, some knight-errants. The first two seemed too distant to me. I knew I couldn't suddenly gain supreme powers, and I didn't feel I had the talent to lead armies into battle, so I always dreamed of being a wandering hero. One person, one set of clothes, and one sword. I dreamed of traveling around, doing good deeds, fighting the lofty and helping the weak. I wrapped up sharing my dream. My dream back then was quite naive and pure. Just like most boys around, I wanted to be a hero. And Sui didn't seem too surprised, like she already knew my dream. Then, after a moment's thought, she asked me a question.
那为什么良夜现在没这个梦想了？
Yeah, why does he not have that anymore, huh? Wonder why? She asked, her tone serious, no more playful expressions. I gave a wry smile, because in this world, there is no place for a hero to thrive. After the disaster that year, I fled the famine, and everything I saw and heard during that journey shattered my dreams. Those who died were often righteous and kind, while those who survived were selfish and cunning. Heroes thrive in times of peace and perish in times of chaos, while villains thrive in chaos and perish in peace. Clearly, we're in times of chaos. I said these words bluntly. Told you what I dreamed of. Now it's your turn to spill the beans. What's your secret? I glanced at Mansui. Fair's fair. After hearing about my crushed dreams, she ought to tell me something too.
好，讲之前想先说一句，抱歉之前骗了良夜。
Yeah. I know that you've been lying to me all this time, so it's fine. Mansui lowered her head slightly, seeming remorseful. Huh?
其实我之前跟良夜说爹娘在洛阳等我，是骗良夜的。我的爹娘早就死了，现在家里只剩我一人了。
So she really has nobody left to go home to?
姐姐死后，爹娘曾去闹，吞妖派人断了他们的粮，爹娘没多久就饿死了。
Could we get the true story finally, eventually? Would be
拿
nice.
了他们最后留的粮，一路逃荒，死里逃生，才到了化州。
She said these words with indifference. Finding out all this suddenly, I felt that it was out of my expectation, yet reasonable. She always seemed off, traversing a great distance and risking her life in revenge for her sister when her parents were still waiting for her. Didn't add up. Turns out they weren't waiting. They were gone. That's why you had to go to Luoyang for revenge.
家里的人都死了后，我本来也没想独活。
I'm just wondering, but did they take her brother? Because we know that she doesn't have a sister. I just want her to spill the beans of what's going on in her life. how we're connected, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
我活到现在，就是为了有一天能亲手报仇。
Well, I had asked, and she replied steadfastly. And while her voice held strength and determination, it was nevertheless tinged with a sorrow I could hardly understand. We fell quiet, no more words between us. It wasn't until tonight that I was told everything. I never knew we were the same. Lost our homes in the chaos, both orphaned and alone. But while I became a wandering villain drifting with the tide, she turned into a vengeful spirit, bent on vengeance. Thinking back to our first meeting when she tried to stab me and I spanked her, I was able to better understand why she had such a forlorn manner back then. I told her then, "Lie to me and I'll wipe out your family." She just went quiet and walked off alone like a stray cat, because her family was gone, nothing left for me to hunt down. Should I help her get revenge, or persuade her to forget it? If I were her, could I stop myself? Or could I find the guts to go for revenge? Didn't know. Forgo revenge. With so many questions spinning around, I finally fell asleep. The excitement from the shadow play was gone, and depression took its place. I couldn't wait to dive into dreams and lose myself in the void. That night, I slept deeper than ever. Sui, chapter 3, pouch. Alright, I said I would go until the next chapter beginning, so I'm gonna keep to that. My throat is dry as a desert, so it really came in clutch right here. And my hand is freezing now. I don't know. My hands these days are super cold. And since I have to play that on a keyboard, I have the problem of having them pretty much be freezing temperature by the time I'm done. I don't know. I have to find a way to warm them up. I don't even know why my feet and hand are always so cold. Oh well. I'm kind of glad that we got like a moment to take a breath, some positivity, because this game really hates giving you any positive situations to work with. Like, come on, you can't always be dark and then darker and then even darker. There have to be some light moments just to keep the people playing this game motivated, no? Or do people just love to punish themselves? Probably, let's be honest, but still. Let me get a breather. But yeah, okay, we're 5 chapters away. I kind of had hoped that we could get through this faster, but it feels like the chapters have been getting longer and longer this time around, so I don't know. Seems like it'll take a while longer until we finish this, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Certainly doesn't help that my throat is super dry. But yeah, I guess we'll figure out what to do with the rest of the gang tomorrow. and decide where and how we go on from here then. Alright. Anyway, as always, thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed and I see you next time. Take care and bye bye.